I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Your current team has made some interesting moves the last few days. How do you feel about what your roster suddenly looks like?
I'm excited. Obviously, we made some great moves. I think, Kelly and Amber and the whole, Fever organization are, they're helping us win now. And I think that's really important. I think they're putting really good pieces together that are gonna, complement each other really, really well.
Forget everything you thought you knew about the Indiana Fever, because the narrative has just been completely rewritten. For too long, it felt like every game for Caitlin Clark was a trial by fire, a relentless onslaught of cheap shots, constant hacking fouls, and defenders who seemed to believe physical intimidation was the only way to contain a once-in-a-generation talent. But mark this moment, that era of unchecked aggression is unequivocally over. The Indiana Fever didn't just tinker around the edges of their roster, they executed a strategic masterstroke, bringing in not just one or two, but a trifecta of enforcers. Suddenly, the conversation has pivoted dramatically. It's no longer about whether Caitlin Clark can withstand the league's physicality, but rather if the league is prepared to face the formidable wall of protection now surrounding her. How exactly will these three transformative additions reshape the Indiana Fever, and what seismic ripple effects will they send throughout the entire landscape of the WNBA? Let's dissect this power shift and uncover the dawn of a new era in Indiana.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer. The closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark, was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley.
Picture the scene, the highly anticipated debut of Caitlin Clark, a rookie sensation heralded as the future of the WNBA. She steps onto the court bathed in the electric anticipation of roaring crowds and global attention. The basketball world held its breath, expecting a dazzling display of skill and brilliance, yet instead of a welcoming embrace into the professional ranks, Clark was met with a jarringly different reality. From the opening tip-off, she encountered a relentless barrage of hard fouls, excessive physical contact, and a style of defense that often blurred the lines of acceptable aggression. It wasn't simply the typical initiation rites for a newcomer. It felt as though she had inadvertently wandered onto a wrestling mat rather than a basketball court. The question hung heavy in the air: what was truly happening here? This went beyond routine rookie treatment. It was a distinct, almost targeted form of physicality that demanded deeper scrutiny.
Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer type players.
And this is where the narrative takes a genuinely alarming turn, moving beyond mere perception to cold, hard data. The uneasy feeling of excessive physicality wasn't just anecdotal, it was statistically validated with a truly astonishing revelation. Consider this. A mind-boggling 177% of all flagrant fouls committed across the entire WNBA in the previous season were directed at Caitlin Clark. Let that staggering figure resonate for a moment. This isn't just about playing tough defense, it's a glaring alarm signal, indicating a systemic issue of disproportionate and potentially malicious targeting. But the picture sharpens even further, revealing a specific source of this aggression. Spearheading this intense, often over-the-line approach, none other than the Chicago Sky. An almost unbelievable 80% of those flagrant fouls inflicted upon Clark originated from a single team. 80%! This isn't a statistical anomaly, it's a deliberate pattern, a calculated statement. Was it a campaign of intimidation designed to break her spirit? Was it frustration boiling over at her rapid ascent, or was it a misguided attempt to employ outdated, overly physical tactics to neutralize a rising star? Regardless of the underlying motives, one thing became unequivocally clear. Caitlin Clark's arrival had unsettled certain opponents, provoking a level of physical response that verged on the unacceptable.
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
To truly grasp the raw intensity of what Clark endured, one need only recall the now infamous foul committed by Angel Reese. Visualize the moment. Clark, driving with purpose towards the basket, her focus locked intently on the rim when suddenly the impact. Reese forcefully sends her crashing to the hardwood floor. An immediate hush fell over the arena. A palpable wave of concern rippled through the crowd as fans collectively gasped, holding their breath, uncertain if Clark would even be able to rise. The sheer force of the hit, so visibly impactful and seemingly unnecessary, prompted even seasoned commentators to openly question whether the play had crossed a critical boundary. Had the competitive fire burned too hot, veering into dangerous territory? But then, in a display of remarkable resilience, something truly defining occurred. Clark, demonstrating an almost preternatural composure, simply brushed herself off, regained her footing, and resumed playing as if the earth-shattering collision had been nothing more than a minor bump in the road. Her unwavering response in the face of such blatant physicality spoke volumes about her inner fortitude.
Playing a league where you're targeted like that. How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
And this, ultimately, is the essence of Caitlin Clark. While the basketball world erupted in debate, meticulously analyzing the replays of fouls, dissecting the intentions behind the hits, and vehemently arguing about the fairness of it all, she remained singularly focused on the game itself. Even after absorbing another flagrant cheap shot, this time delivered by Chennedy Carter, her reaction was characteristically composed and intensely pragmatic. That's just not a basketball play, but you've got to play through it. No public outbursts, no cries of victimhood, no attempts at retaliatory fouls, just an unwavering, almost stoic focus on the task at hand. This wasn't merely physical toughness on display, it was a profound exhibition of mental fortitude, the kind of steely resolve and unwavering composure under immense pressure that serves as the hallmark of true legends, distinguishing them from merely talented athletes. However, even legends, with all their individual brilliance, recognize the vital importance of support, the necessity of having a strong team around them, and the astute minds in the Indiana Fever front office. They were observing, they understood the gravity of the situation, and they resolved that their prized rookie would not face another season exposed and vulnerable. Thus began the strategic moves, the calculated acquisitions designed to build an impenetrable wall around their star.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
Enter Natasha Howard, a name that now resonates with a newfound significance in Indiana. The acquisition of this WNBA Titan wasn't just a routine roster adjustment, it was a resounding declaration of intent. In Howard, the Fever didn't simply gain another player, they secured a bulwark, a guardian, a definitive enforcer. This isn't mere exaggeration for dramatic effect. Howard's credentials speak for themselves: a three-time WNBA champion, a former Defensive Player of the Year, a perennial All-Star, and a seasoned veteran boasting over 300 games of professional experience. Natasha Howard isn't just a supplementary piece. She is the muscle, the grit, the unwavering enforcer that the Fever lineup desperately lacked. The moment she stepped into the Indiana Fever locker room, the message reverberated with crystal clarity. Caitlin Clark is officially off limits, no longer an easy target for those seeking to exploit or intimidate. For those unfamiliar with her imposing resume, Howard's achievements are a testament to her dominance. Crowned Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, consistently ranked amongst the league's elite defenders and maintaining an astonishing streak of 7 consecutive seasons, averaging at least 1 block and 1 steal per game. Her defensive versatility is her ultimate weapon. Last year, opponents may have felt emboldened to physically challenge Clark with impunity. Now, they will be forced to reconsider, to hesitate, to perhaps even abandon such tactics altogether. Howard's very presence on the court immediately recalibrates the power balance, and to assume she's solely a defensive specialist would be a gross miscalculation. Howard is a multifaceted force on offense as well, consistently posting elite statistical lines, impressive scoring numbers, significant rebounding contributions, valuable assists, and even extending her range to the three-point line, adding another dimension to the Fever's attack. She's not merely present to protect Clark, she is actively working to elevate the overall performance and potential of the entire team.
But all of that, and we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons. And that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense.
But the Fever's front office, in their pursuit of comprehensive protection, recognized that one enforcer, however formidable, might not be enough. Because what could be more reassuring than one enforcer? The answer, 2. Step forward Sophie Cunningham, a name that has instantly injected a jolt of raw energy and unpredictability into the WNBA narrative. Sophie Cunningham is en route to Indiana, and the league landscape has just become demonstrably more captivating, more combustible. If Caitlin Clark yearned for a steadfast ally, someone to not only watch her back, but to actively deter any would-be aggressors while simultaneously sinking deep threes, she has just gained her perfect partner in on-court intensity. The Fever's off-season strategy wasn't solely focused on acquiring refined skill. They were strategically hunting for a particular brand of toughness, a specific attitude, a player who could ignite a palpable fire within the team dynamic, and in Sophie Cunningham, they unearthed exactly that, and arguably even more. The internet is replete with videos documenting Sophie Cunningham's legendary on-court intensity, her fierce competitiveness bordering on the combative. Wild is the descriptor most frequently associated with her, and the term carnage isn't far behind in capturing the essence of her playing style. On-court altercations, heated exchanges, moments of unadulterated, white-hot intensity. Cunningham is invariably at the epicenter of it all. However, to reduce her to mere aggression would be a significant oversight. Underneath the fiery exterior lies a player of considerable skill. She's an exceptionally accurate shooter, consistently hitting around 38% from beyond the arc in the previous season. Envision opposing defenses already stretched thin, desperately attempting to contain the offensive threats of Clark and Mitchell, only to then realize they've left Cunningham, a lethal three-point specialist, wide open on the perimeter. It's a strategic nightmare for any defensive scheme, and let's not overlook that crucial element of edge, that unmistakable mean streak. Cunningham possesses a reputation for talking trash, backing up her words with action, and generally instilling a sense of unease in her opponents. Oh, and for any lingering doubts about her willingness to engage physically, it's worth reiterating. She holds a black belt in Taekwondo. Any defender contemplating getting overly physical with Caitlin Clark this season will now have to contend with the very real prospect of Sophie Cunningham stepping into the fray. She is not one to back down, not from anyone, not under any circumstance, and that unyielding, confrontational spirit is precisely the type of galvanizing energy that the Indiana Fever roster was yearning for.
Last season, with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game. And the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year, short and elite. Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Brittany Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard.
Finally, to complete this unprecedented trifecta of toughness and experience, the Fever organization strategically brought in Deanna Bonner. However, Bonner's role transcends that of a mere enforcer. She embodies veteran leadership, championship pedigree, and a catalyst for profound cultural transformation within the team. Deanna Bonner isn't just joining the Indiana Fever to fill a vacant roster spot, she is deliberately here to reshape the very DNA of the team's culture, to inject invaluable championship-caliber experience, and to shepherd this promising young squad into a genuine, sustained force within the league. She is unequivocally signaling a shift in trajectory. The Fever are no longer languishing in a phase of rebuilding. They are resolutely focused on immediate victory, on contending for championships, and on establishing a new era of dominance. Boasting multiple WNBA championships, numerous all-star selections, and a well-earned reputation as one of the most versatile and impactful forwards in the league, Bonner arrives bearing a wealth of experience, a commanding leadership presence, and an unwavering win-at-all-costs mindset. Imagine Bonner seamlessly integrated into the Fever's existing core, Aaliyah Boston anchoring the paint with authority, Caitlin Clark orchestrating the offensive flow with her signature flair, Kelsey Mitchell consistently delivering scoring prowess, Sophie Cunningham providing that uncontainable spark of fiery energy, and now Bonner adding elite-level defense, clutch scoring capabilities, and invaluable floor spacing. This isn't a subtle incremental improvement. It's a profound transformative overhaul. Bonner's presence elevates Indiana from an exciting, albeit unproven, young team to a legitimate, credible championship contender. And her contributions extend far beyond her on-court skills. They are deeply rooted in her commitment to mentorship and team development. She is actively investing in the growth of Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, diligently studying game film, meticulously analyzing their individual tendencies, and strategically devising ways to collectively maximize their strengths and synergy. This is the critical distinction between a veteran player simply seeking to conclude their career and a true leader driven by a profound determination to leave an enduring legacy. The Fever already possessed the raw pieces. They were merely lacking that crucial ingredient, that final infusion of veteran guidance and unwavering toughness to effectively coalesce all the elements and realize their full potential. And Dina Bonner, with her championship pedigree and wealth of experience, may very well represent precisely the missing piece that finally unlocks the Indiana Fever's ascent into a true WNBA powerhouse.
That wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs too. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history.
Let's synthesize what we've just unpacked. Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and Deanna Bonner. These aren't just names on a team sheet. They represent strategic acquisitions, powerful statements of intent. The Indiana Fever didn't merely augment their roster with talent. They fundamentally fortified it with resilience, with seasoned leadership, and most critically, with an unwavering commitment to safeguarding their phenomenal rookie, Caitlin Clark. They have effectively transitioned almost overnight from a team in perpetual rebuilding mode to a team poised to contend for the ultimate prize, the WNBA championship. The days of Caitlin Clark enduring unchecked physicality are definitively over. The opposing players who once believed they could get away with cheap shots and aggressive tactics are now on the precipice of a stark and potentially painful awakening. With this newly assembled triumvirate of enforcers, the Fever have meticulously crafted the ideal equilibrium of refined skill and unyielding grit. Caitlin Clark now finds herself surrounded by an unwavering army of protectors, and this Indiana squad is no longer simply aiming to compete. Their sights are set on dominance, on establishing a new hierarchy within the league. The message resonating throughout the WNBA is unequivocal, resounding, and impossible to ignore. Indiana is no longer here to politely participate. They have arrived to seize control, to redefine the competitive landscape, and to usher in a new era of Fever basketball. Are you prepared for the dawn of the Indiana Fever show? Because it's not just coming, it's accelerating, it's gaining momentum, and it's poised to electrify the entire league. What are your initial reactions to the Fever's dramatically reshaped powerhouse roster? Are you as excited as we are to witness how these formidable enforcers will fundamentally alter the game and protect their superstar? Share your thoughts and predictions in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for continuous WNBA insights and activate all notifications so you never miss a single update from the hardwood. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for even more captivating basketball content. And we'll catch you in the next breakdown.